Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to be trying the spicy list that is running around everywhere. I believe Aspiring Spike was playing this in the RCQ. There's been variations of this deck going around for a while. I know Sizzle was playing a lot of these things in terms of being like the Sacrifice Blade with the Pixie. And it's been such a cool deck. It actually impressed me a ton today. I was super surprised. I was ready to go kind of 0-5, be like, here's a realistic view of what the deck actually does, at least for me. But it actually ran very well, and I was very impressed with it, especially the turns that we get with this deck, where we're looking at playing a Hopeless Nightmare, playing a Pixie, picking up the Nightmare, and replaying it, hitting our opponent's hand incredibly tough. And I will say, and as you can tell, it's a little bit weirdly organized. These cards over here are the only ones I believe are rotating out of this deck. So it is a little bit safer on that regard of rotation proof. It's not completely, obviously, as Shattered Sanctum is one of our best lands. We're playing 25, but all these cards here will be falling off. So you kind of can go about it that way if that's what you've been prioritizing looking at. But what are we doing? We are hitting our opponent's hand as aggressively as possible like we would in Mono Black, but doing a ton of valuable things. Like we said, with Pixie being able to pick up the Hopeless Nightmare and recasting it, or even doing Inspector, replaying it as well. And then using Braids as our kind of mid-range dominator in terms of we'll sacrifice the Hopeless Nightmare to Braids. Most likely our opponent doesn't have an enchantment. So Braids, I guess I'll read this card if you haven't seen this card in a while. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. So pretty much anything. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. So a lot of times we're making an artifact off this, sacrificing it to Braids. We're playing this, playing the Nightmare, and the next turn we're playing the Braids to sacrifice the Hopeless Nightmare, which gives us more value because when this is... does it leave the battlefield? When it's put into the graveyard, we get to scry 2, so we get to draw and then set up our next turn. And why they deal with Braids after we already hit their hand a ton, they have to deal with us playing a Liliana, which finishes the job of getting their hand out of the way. Or we play an Investigator, where we're already making them discard in a ton of ways, and a Shieldred to come out and close the game. If Aklazotz needs to be played against those aggro decks, we rely on it pretty heavily. And as our final piece, we have 4 Restless Fortresses to help gain and drain. We do have one game incredibly grindy against a matchup that you would not expect. And Merfolk was one of our harder and more fun games that we get to play with this deck. I won't spoil how it goes. But outside of that, if you all like my content, please be sure to subscribe. YouTube recommends me to always tell you. That's why I bring it up now at the end of every intro. Not outro, I just recorded the outro. But every intro. So other than that, let's go ahead and hop into the games. Okay. I'm having... problems. This is interesting to say the least. My mana's a little whack and slow. And then the hostile's like fine. My opponent kept 7. Let's go ahead and try to keep this hand. I'm not like super confident on this hand, but we'll see. Hopeless Nightmare are going to be fine, but it's looking like my opponent's getting 2 unhindered turns here. Rogue will be the name of my cavern. Unless I find a blade here, that would be sick. I miss. Right now, it's going to be Rogue, like we said. I think I have to make a blocker. But no, I'm named after Fairy, so I'm going to have to do it this way. You discard. Then the Pixie can also do it. Our kind of saving grace with this hand right now is going to be the fact that I'm going to be able to remove a lot of cards from their hand. Most likely, I guess it'll only be 1 because again, it's tap land. If I draw an untapped source, I'll probably get their last 2 cards in hand if it kind of gets to that point. Trample is probably not worth it as much as it's probably more worth it to block this Kamano next turn. Ooh, 1 land, 1 creature, and Kamano gets capped this turn. So we do this. Opponent sacks a creature. They kept a greedy 1-lander, and we're going to try to punish him for it. We hold this back to block this. Now, obviously, one creature, a pump spell, most likely there's pump shenanigans to go on here, but let's try. I don't care if they give it any X1, but also I got to protect from that specific kind of thing here. And now I can double Hopeless Nightmare, take 2 of their cards out of hand. We know that those cards are valuable. And then play the Pixie, picking up the Blade again. I could have just done that, but I think getting the cards out of their hand is a little bit better. Alright, Hopeless Nightmare. Hopeless Nightmare. Just tear him up right now. And then we play the Pixie. And again, worst case scenario, I just block with the Pixie again. But they had the Performers, which whenever it enters... Oh, no! Rule aggro on the play, keeping a 1-lander, getting punished by the small incremental value of all of our 1-drops. And can you just imagine how much more devastating that game would have gone if these were untapped sources? It would have been so much better. Obviously, we don't always get that. That's the value of playing those lands. As later in the game, they can find its value, but they're a little short. But let's move on to the next one. Okay, I think we're recording this time. Very cool. My opponent takes a maul. They're on the play. I'm on the draw, so I'll keep this. I mean, his hand's pretty, like, easy to latch onto. We got a 1-drop, 2-drop, 2 3-drops with 3 mana in hand. I can't imagine our curve is looking much different than this. My opponent's playing Merfolk. Hello? That's... I'm not shocked you are. Okay, everybody calm down. I mean, I guess I just blade him here. Make him sack 1. Sack the flyer? Am I insane? Why would we sack the flyer? Sure. Do I Braids here or do I Liliana minus here? I think Liliana minus makes more sense. Block this. Yeah, so we minus here. We block the Schooner. If they play a Merfolk, obviously. No attack. There's a reason they didn't crew there, because they wanted me to attack. But I hold this back. They play Merfolk. They crew this up. They attack Lily. I block. I +1 Lily, play Hopeless Nightmare, play Braids, and then... please don't hit Lance. That makes our discard so much worse. Sure. Sure. I mean, at least I found an extra land here. Braids. Hopeless Nightmare. I don't have a way to bounce an effect here. But I think I just let... I think the idea should be the clue. I can do an enchantment and they have to do it. I get the value, but I'm going to do this. If you'd like to sack your Schooner, I'll take it. Sweet. The problem with the clue token, the reason I didn't want to sacrifice it is the fact that I lose the draw pretty much. Sentinel, sure. I feel like with the Liliana in play, you could have left the land on top off your Surveil. So whenever you Surveil here, or whatever here, you could do it. Yep. Sure. Nope.
Fine. I'll take my zombies and leave.
Okay. Hopeless Nightmare. Let's take this last card away. Second schooner. Let's blade. Yeah, that makes sense. No. I think I'd leave talking Numa so I could buy back a Liliana here at some point. Take the draw. We scry. Flanker, what can you do? Each creature that lets the battlefield under control this turn. Exile target graveyard, gain 2. I mean, both lands definitely going to the bottom here, I think. Not really looking for those necessarily. So, funny part here is Sentinel doesn't tap. Therefore, the Pilgrimage does nothing, which is kind of funny, like a little bit of a weird nombo to have. But they can always tap it with the schooner on instep if they'd like to make one. Will you hold that for discard effects? No. Okay. Like something like a Lily that you might want to hold it just in case, but I'll blame him. I think I have to get Lily back here at some point. Let's do this. Let's go here. No attacks, of course. End turn. I'll give him the option. I'm going to do my Nightmare. You can sacrifice your Pilgrimage if you want. And drawing lands here is getting tough. I saw 2 lands put on bottom, drew land. And now I'll have 2 more scries here. Sure. You're like just big enough, but also make clue tokens, so you're probably fine. Are you fine? Well, I'll mill this over, so honestly, no, you're not, because of the talking Numa. Maybe. Now I'm looking to potentially flash this in. What's your last card? Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's really weird because they're also like kind of in trouble. Now that I think about it, right? It's like Braids has just been picking them off for the most part. Liliana's going to do nothing now too. I probably need a flanker here. Let's let them make their decision whether they're going to keep Spell Pierce on top. Keeping Spell Pierce on top seems wild to me, by the way. But sure, it is a decision. Gain 2 life, scry 2 here. Blade, oh man, Blades is so whack because it's like not good, but it's like fine. I'm gonna lose the Merfolk. This is crazy. Yeah, I guess. That's a weird game that's happening to me right now. Yeah. Oh, they still left Spell Pierce on top. Wild game actions. So here's the cool part. I can play Shieldred here. And Shieldred on draws will be good. And I can cycle Takenuma for 2 because I have 2 legendaries in play. And now Shieldred gets to body a lot of our creatures that our opponent has. Sure. Sure. This one. Giving you the option. Sure. They choose not to make me decline. So very cool. Here we go. At 7, they're drawing a Spell Pierce, which is why I did not think that card was that great to have on top of our library. But, you know, they're allowed to make whatever decision they need to. Has base power 3/3. This would be a 4/4 if they did that. Sure. That's 5. Now Spell Pierce isn't even applicable either, right? Sure. What's our attacks looking like here? Silver might actually be able to cross out of this, which is weird. So, what can Braids block here? You should do it on their 2/2 here, I think. Because, or they could do it over there, I guess. Yeah, that becomes a 5/5, so that's tough. 5. Oh boy. Sure. Okay. So this can block here. Braids 5, 10. So 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They have an artifact in play now that they could sacrifice to my Braids. Yeah, so 5, 10, 13, 14. Do this, I guess. Try. Sure. Yeah. Channel. This is a tough call. I guess I take the flanker. Land, not the move, dude. This costs 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have exactly enough mana. I guess here, name. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Rogue. Let's take a look already. Because I might want to draw that card. It couldn't matter. Scry 2, gain 2 life. I'll get another draw potentially. I can play Inspector, pop it, and pick out the Pixie. So that works. Let's play Inspector. We're trying so hard here. Build a wall and let Shieldred win the game for us. And then if we force them to pop a land, if they do so, the Vine Stalk's no longer able to be brought up. Is kind of the idea. They can't make a random 1/1 anymore. We pop this. And I'm probably going to pick up the Blade, I guess. If I had an extra mana on this Pixie, I would pick up the Inspector, but I'm sacking a land, so it doesn't matter regardless. So I'm picking this back up. I can attack. These can block, right? Yeah, there's not a random reason they can't block. I can double attack and they have to double block, which puts us in the same boat, right? Because then it's block, block, block. I take 3. I should just attack here. Let them make a mistake if they want. Yep. Get these out of the way. Yes. Sacrifice this. Will they snap off this decision? Not really thinking about it. Again, if they do this, this lane can no longer be crewed up. At least for right now, that is. They could draw an untapped source. That's obviously possible. Good game. Good game. Wow. We brought that out. I know I said I was going to lose earlier, but I mean, it felt like it. That was such a grindy game. That Shieldred coming in put so much work. Wow. Wow. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. That game was so close. I go first. Ooh. I don't have a thing for this. Pest control may or may not be good. And nothing for braids. I think this has to be a mulligan hand. At least here, like, I take the risk, right, on braids because I do have a creature plus an artifact. And if braid works, I do get to draw. Like, most likely, I could probably find a way to draw. I'll keep this, and I'm going to let the 4-drop go because obviously I'm not guaranteed to get 3 mana at any point, let alone 4. But on another Maul, another 2-lander, I think we have to try this. Life gain? Or just mono white? Or Boros? Or anything playing this card? A card that also rotates, by the way. So it is mono white. Well, braids are not braids, but that is good. Here we go. I think I just played the other creature. Obviously, I could pop the clue token, but I think I just play another creature because now Thalia can't attack. Sure. Everything's so painful right now. Yes. As first strike, not double strike. Now I can have braids come in and cause problems. I think rogue is fine. Trying to think of what cards are tough, and rogues are cheap, so I kind of want to get them out of the way. I could also play this so I can pick up their flyer. I would like this to be a hostile investigator though, or it's artifact as well. I think I hold on to the guardian right now. Pass. Pop. Nothing. Land draw. Shieldred coming in next turn. Braid's a good blocker here because the this creature does not pump itself. So if they want to pump their board, they kind of have to attack into a blank board. But they can do that, and braids will be gone. But I can still play the Shieldred here. I will block this as well. What a build, dude. My opponent's cooking right now. They are cooking it up indeed. Now we play Shieldred. Our opponent's already kind of hesitant to attack right now, so Shieldred's going to put that pressure on the board, so they can't, or they're going to find another ossification and it's not going to matter. Nice. Well, little inspector, you held down the fort last time this happened. If that's the only attack I'm getting, I'll take it. What do we got? Another land off the top. Actually, getting quite brutal here. This land draw is. Use the cavern. It's not gonna matter here. Let's pop this and see what we can draw. Hopefully, it's not another land. All right, hostile investigator, good. I don't really want to plus, but I don't mind plussing. I think I just minus.
Something suspicious is
Forcing them to kind of... Well, if I plus, they can't just send the bat there. And I'm fine with letting a cavern go here, I think. I'm plussing.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Because if I minus, they just sack the veteran and they get to play the other side of it. Or if I throw the cavern away, they're more likely going to get rid of a better card from their hand, which seems good for me. Another land. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Yeah. They should honestly just go face here. This Liliana does not matter anymore. Sick. Sick. Buy me time. I'm good. I cannot believe they dedicated that much to that. Does nothing, does like nothing now. Just artifact a creature return to battlefield. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Sure. This one, the 2 ossifications in a row were pretty devastating to our game plan. We had such a good thing going, and then they just had double removal. Yeah, I'm good. What a rip off the top, too. Ah, man, it's so annoying, but it is what it is. All right, we go first here. I think I'm actually fine with this hand to take one extra little turn here to set it up. And what I mean by that is playing the tap land and then playing both. Sure, I'll stick them up, dude. Not that I'm happy about it, but sure. Hit the hand. Hit it bad. I kind of hope I draw like a blades or something here so I can play the, or I guess I need a land. That's how that would work. Just because I would like to play the investigator and then play this flickering the investigator. Because I think one of our chances here is by really hindering their hand a lot and making it super awkward, but they are a deck that can function on very little and it does not matter, but this is going to hurt. I'd like to play this. I would like to pick this up. I'd like to play this and I'd like to make you discard, and then I'm going to make you discard again. Buying all the time in the world that I can. And then we do something with Guardian where we flicker the pixie re-enters, and we pick up the nightmare again. What is that? Artifact, enchantment, put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. I mean, sick draw, dude. I don't know. They probably already had it, to be honest. If I know anything, trading off here is actually not bad. Let's just do this right now. We do find land. We get to play land. We get to play investigator, taking that last card in the hand. Going another enchantment explode spell. Dead card, opponent, please. Don't be a knight. Okay, kind of a dead card. Kind of not. They're going to be able to draw another spell here or land. They should probably pop it sooner than later, unless they're afraid of discarding, which that makes sense. Rite of Oblivion sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Absolutely gross. We'll do this. We're going to get rid of this so I don't have to worry about it anymore. We're going to sacrifice that, right? Because these are both clues. Yes. Get this thing out of here, please. Okay, opponent. Very cool. Told me to stick them up, and you're the one running for the hills. Very sick. We actually grinded that one out. It was very cool. I go first. I could play Pixie on one, but that's not really what we're here for. So we're going to play the Blade, and then we're going to try to play Pixie the following turn. If we have a land, then play it again. Hoping kind of, honestly, with this hand, red is really where we want to be, I guess. But we still need to hit the third land or we're screwed. Sweet. Oh, we do hit that land. That's actually massive for us. And we get one of their really good creatures off the board immediately, which is incredible. Normally that creature is annoying, and they play it kind of on turn 2 to protect it from sack effects. If that's the case, do I just play Braids here? Because they're going to flash in a creature, and this can help protect against that. I think so. Do I sacrifice the Blade, though? Honestly, I think so. Because then I just hostile investigator, and then I can play Pixie, pick it up. If that's where I really want to be. They clearly have the flash creature. Clearly. Yeah, and I don't think that's going to get me anywhere, so I need to try to find cards that are better. But we can Investigator here, and then we'll make a token, because obviously they'll have to discard a card at some point. This can block. They can play War Leader's Call. I can still block. Hopeless Nightmare is actually a really good pickup. I can actually terrorize their hand now, but I'd like to do that next turn after Investigator, and the reason why is because of the fact that right now if I do it, they'll then go empty-handed, and I will get way less value out of my stuff. No attacks, just keep up the wall. Also, I get a 4/3 in play, which is significantly better here. Sacrifice this. We hit this, which is even better, chat. Wow. Sure. Ping me up. Ping me down. Sounding sussy, but you know, you can act that way when I'm not around. I don't know what I'm saying, chat. I would love to play Aklizots here, but I think the idea is to Glypher, the Investigator, Hopeless Nightmare, Pixie. Kolos here. Guardian. This. That will return, no worries. Hopeless Nightmare. Lethal Demolition gone. Pick this back up. Then no attack. Raids trigger. And then we sacrifice this artifact. The way these all enter the battlefield, we get to make the thing first. And now they can no longer hold a card in hand. Emma Danes is fine, actually, which is weird to say out loud. They buff a lot of things. I can pretty much trade off this board and then just slam an Aklizots next turn. Like, that's just fine with me. So I want to keep my braids. I think the answer is a little bit weird on that one. Block. This is a 2/2 here and here, I guess. Or if I trade here, I can then... I think I prevent this. That's fine with me. Against this matchup, if I clear the board, like, I feel much better about my chances. Sure. I find a land. Let's just Aklizots here, and then let's just Hopeless Nightmare. Why not? Because now I can lower my hand count as well. And then if I do top deck like a Braids or something, sure, go for it. Nice. I outpace this all the time. There's not really a way I don't. And I think if they can't discard, I make a bat. Yeah, pretty sure. Attack. Or I just draw. Okay, yeah, that's right. Would you like to block? Sure. Blade. You. 5-second Mirrors. A little bit confusing considering the fact that if they draw a Gleeful Demolition, they would like to have that artifact. And I'm gonna put my whole hand out here. Because now that they sacrificed the Mirrors token, if this is a Gleeful Demolition, they no longer have it. Sure. Ping me for 2. Yep. That makes sense. Because now I just get to attack with both my 4-drops here and bring up the land, which will drain for 2. Okay, so overall, I'm actually incredibly impressed with this deck. The one time I've ever seen it, outside of recently, there was, I think, Aspiring Spike played this at the RCQ, like the big one, where you're trying to qualify for the Pro Tour, and then Ash Sizzle picked it up, but I think she was playing 2 kind of different variations, and then Spike uploaded his, and now there was that list. So outside of that, the only time I've ever seen this deck list was in a very weird situation where I was playing, I think, Smuggler's Surprise, and they had cards like the Blade and things like that that made me sacrifice the Tiberi Stomper and whatever, and eventually I just Smuggler's Surprised and just went like, here's 40 damage, can you deal with that? And the answer is obviously no. Like, it's not really fair to this deck, as I have to imagine that matchup's a little bit tough, but I ended up settling on this version. I changed a couple of things. I got like one pest control in the main for those Boros matchups and stuff, just to keep me there. And as long as I cycle, my main issue today, we played 25 lands, which is like kind of that like sweet spot where you're wanting to hit a little bit more lands than normal. Like the average that you'll play in a deck is 24. But if you're playing kind of like bigger threats like Aklozoth, Shieldred, and Hostile Investigator, and it is a big chunk. Also, this deck don't mind playing a 3-drop plus a 2-drop very often, so you want to be able to do that. But most of my issues that I had, which is a situation where we just kind of cut those games because they were non-games, I played against Red, stalled off for so long, got about 4 draws, never found a third land. And then it happened again against Red as well, where I had 2 lands. I was on a draw. I missed a land drop for 4 turns. It just happens, you know. It is what it is. And the only other issue is I drew too many lands in one game. And that one's actually in the video because drawing too many lands later is like, at least the games are still good. So I keep them in. But the deck was super sick, and I think one of the best parts about it is using a card like Guardian that we can play as a 3/3 flyer that actually covers a lot of things that we need to be able to cover in this deck. But getting this in play and being able to flicker this because it's an artifact and that's how the Guardian works is actually super sick, because now I get to play this, I get to remove your other threat, and then also a Hostile Investigator is really annoying for our opponent because I get to play this and then flicker this. We have the flanker that gets a little bit of value here, and outside of that, there's really nothing else we're wanting to flicker. We really just want to do this on a turn. This card, in theory, reads as though it's like 5 mana, unless we go Blade into it, into Blade again. You kind of wait on the Guardian. But other than that, honestly, the sickest part a lot of times is one of the games I think probably did what I loved the most about this deck in terms of the way it impressed me was turn 1, play a Hopeless Nightmare. Turn 2, it was like a Blade or something. I think this is actually wrong. But basically on one of the turns, I played a second Hopeless Nightmare in play. I played a Pixie and I picked it up, and then I got to play Hopeless Nightmare 3 times by turn 3. So I just absolutely demolished my opponent's hand early. And then after that, I played a Braids, and it was just like sack this, sack that, sack this. And it was just so hard for them to keep up just because of this value here. And Pixie, I misread the very first time I read it. You don't actually have to bounce anything. You just can choose 0. So I always thought you had to. So you can still play this as a 1-drop. It's not necessarily that bad. The only issue is you can't bounce another fairy, like another copy of it. You can't bounce it. But even bouncing the Inspector to make another token for when we're going to play our Braids is sick. And extra artifacts for the Rite of Oblivion, things like that. So outside of that, this deck did impress me. I think this deck is very solid and very cool. And we got some like good news. Maybe this one, I don't remember. I think most of this deck, besides Rite of Oblivion, which is kind of a big hit, I think this deck sticks around. You can play like this entire deck post rotation. Yeah, because Shieldred stays, right? So that was the big gripe that everybody has. So Braids and Shieldred will still be here. Guardian is kind of like the only questionable one, that because I don't know exactly if that one rotates, but these are the 5 from this entire board over that are rotating out of standard. So you actually get to keep a lot of this deck, even though it is kind of on the expensive side when it comes to rares and mythics and things like that. Obviously you don't have to play a pest control, but yeah, like, I mean, just look at these mythics that you kind of have to have. But realistically, if you've ever played a black deck, you probably are going to always be playing Shieldreds, always going to be playing Investigator, and always playing Liliana, maybe in 1 Aklozoth. So this is kind of whatever. The only other thing is 2 Shattered Sanctum will also be rotating. So this kind of fits in this category over here of rotating lands. This one will not, even though I have the old version, it will not be rotating. And none of the other lands, I believe, are. Obviously, these ones are as well. Honestly, bless up on these leaving. I'm so sick of playing around them all the time. But yeah, so all these cards over here, we have a total of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards leaving. And then from here over is all staying in standard post-rotation. So it is pretty much rotation safe, and especially on the cards that are leaving. It's not like we're losing Braids, for example. Like, this card is a very valuable piece in the stack. Same with like the Hostile Investigator. Those cards are not leaving. So losing out on these, yeah, tough, but not the worst thing in the world. So outside of that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.